Okay. So I want to do a little thing on, well, people that may have decided, maybe you have decided, that living off the grid or living in a van is the path you want to take because you can see troubles on the horizon, whether it's losing your job's going to China or Mexico or prison labour, or maybe your hours are going to be cut back so you only get 3 days a week work instead of 5 or something like that. And you want to avoid the impending financial doom. So you're thinking, well, I've got to do this, but how do I toughen up? Like, how do I get to a point that I can hack this without it driving me insane? And you may have asked your nan about the Depression and what it was like back there and how they had to live then. And she might have said, oh, we just had to make do. Well, converted into modern talk, that is, quite simply, they didn't have many resources, but the few resources they did have, they had to make it happen with those few resources they did have. Or you may have heard another one, we just had to go without. Well, they just quite simply, even though they wanted something, they couldn't have it because it wasn't there to have. So, one thing I probably should mention is it's hard initially when you go in to van life or off-grid life or basically any life, because it's a change in living circumstances. It's a bit of an adjustment. But one I have done already is on the stages of advancement of when I moved in here. At first, some people, they go and set everything up before they move in, and they have a pretty good life pretty much straight away, aside from the initial change of circumstances. But a lot of other people, they go in with bare minimum, as I did, and more than 80% of people do, from what I gather, could be well over 80%. We go in with a bare minimum of what we need to live, and then as time goes on, we add extra things in, do extra bits and pieces. Like here, I'm to the point that I've got a wireless internet and a fridge, and in a few weeks' time I'm going to get a freezer. Next year it's in the plans to get a proper full-blown air conditioning rig for myself. Things sort of improve very dramatically over time as you do what me and many others have done, which is improve your situation as your finances allow you to. And so, initially it is hard, but then it gets better as you get better set up. But of course you're going, well, how am I going to be able to stand it? Am I not going to sort of just live the first night in a van and then just go, I can't hack this, and just basically throw it all away and go back to living in a house with all the modern conveniences and spending myself silly every week. And quite simply, it's your inner strength. You need to find inner strength. And in finding that, you may find out who you really are as a person. You'll also work out how low you can go, what you can and can't handle, and where your real limits are. And a lot of people, they've never tested their limits, so they never know what they can handle, but they find out when they do. And a lot of it, I think, is like I was saying, at, you know, where I worked at a particular place, you know, where something broke, and I was real worried about it. What it actually was, it was a flashing off a roof, which is another way of saying it's a sheet metal edging between steel roof sheets, corrugated iron roof sheets that come in. And this was a strange shape, or it was a gap that had to be filled. We've done a lot of gap filling between the building and the actual pergola we used to build, because at that place I was building pergolas. Well, I was usually doing the stormwater drainage, but with a pick and shovel. But yeah, it was a pergola building place, and we had to set up these flashings to fill in these gaps and stuff like that. Anyway, I picked one up, and it was a real long one, and it had a custom built and all this, and she just went whoop and just bent like a flaming bit of bread. Oh gosh. But the boss didn't find out for a day or two, and I was built up a lot of fear. And when he did finally spit the dummy and start, you know, going off at me, basically that experience was only about 1/5 as bad as the fear of when the boss was going to go off. So yeah, realise that in your scenario that may be a similar case, whereas the fear of going without may be more scary than the actual going without itself. And you know, and that is one of the biggest ones that'll hold you back, is not the actual thing happening, but the fear of the thing happening. But it is a lot to do with inner strength and being able to control your emotions, particularly with women, and that. Don't let the panic set in, the fear set in, you know, all that sort of stuff. Try as best you can to keep level-headed and keep logically thinking about this, and you know, to recognise the exact case of the circumstance you're under, not overhype it with panic or anything like that. And generally speaking, almost every night you'll get to bed nice and warm and relaxed, and everything will be fine. And you know, after doing it for I say the real hard time is the first few weeks, you know, might be the first 4 weeks, 3-4 weeks, yeah. It's definitely adjustment, but after about 8 weeks, it's just like, you're just running as it's, you know, it's normal. It becomes normal after about 8 weeks, maybe as few as only 6 weeks. Depends on how good you are at sort of adapting. And yeah, it's sort of, those early weeks will be really hard times, but then after that, yeah, it's sort of, it just gets the usual. You'll get a routine, and everything will be peachy, and you'll pretty much, you know, have no worries. You know, you'll be going to the blooming gym to have your shower and all that, and da-da-da, and do this and do that, and, you know, go to bed at a certain time, and boom, 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 and you'll just be running fine without an issue. But yes, it is hard, and yes, you do need personal strength, you know, inner strength rather, to get you through it. And you got to have a bit of stick-to-itiveness. In other words, not quit at the first sign of any trouble. And you've also got to be able to fight back tears. And even I myself, as a you know, man of, how old was I then? Probably I was 29 and a half when I moved in here. You know, even there, once I was fighting back tears after the hot water system blew up, and just shortly after the stove had blown up, all within the first 2 weeks, you know, oh man, I just sort of sat there thinking, oh gosh. I sort of said, God, how hard does it have to be? I've had 2 appliances, major appliances, blow up in the first week and a half. and I was fighting back tears that day. But it's like everything, teething problems and things like that. And then, you get rolling, and you probably won't face as many problems even as I faced if you spend enough time reading this stuff or basically watching this stuff on YouTube that other people have gone through, and go through and look at all their older uploads and older videos and all that. I got stacks here. I got stacks and stacks to go, but cycle through mine, I've got more than 100, as you probably noticed. And yeah, other people have got quite a few hundred as well. Kyle Pounds is a good one. Living the Van Life, that's a good one. Solar Cabin, he's got quite a few too. He's an off-gridder. He's actually in a building on land. And yeah, of course, I got a massive amount of stuff. Oh, yes. There is a better way, cost effectiveness and carbon monoxide wise, to keep the chill out of the air in your van. And I've posted that. Residual heat device. Look that one up. That'll save you a lot of carbon dioxide choking and a lot of propane and probably quite a bit of money. Actually, probably quite a fair bit of money because of the fuel efficiency of it. And yeah, so that's one that I haven't really seen, but I put up myself. That I made myself for my house in the early days. So yeah.